The Journey of Reko Rasool: How a Liberal Muslim Came to the United States in Search for Education, at Wagner College, Staten Island, New York.
I think our struggle for our freedom, our current and previous struggles against the Iraqi regime under Saddam Hussein, that is something you can't not be proud of. So that's one big factor. And I just believe I'm a nationalist. I'm very patriotic. Even if I was, say, from America, I'd be very pro-America, and I'd just be proud of my roots. Another huge factor of me being proud of my roots was that my father was a freedom fighter. He was deep in the struggle and the basically war against the Iraqi regime. And I'm extremely proud of him. And now he's one of the big players in the political scene in Kurdistan. And he's someone I look up to and want to be like, really, in the future. I identify myself as a Muslim, but I have to say I'm very liberal in my practices. I don't pray 5 times a day. When the religious month of Ramadan comes, I don't really fast. I used to when I was a child, because my mum was watching over me, but now I'm a free soul, just living life and living the way I want. But I do identify myself as a Muslim, as I said before. But a very liberal Muslim. My family, they're quite liberal. My mother, sister, and sister-in-laws don't wear their headscarves or anything. But we still identify ourselves as a fairly religious Muslim family. Even though being an immigrant around basically all countries I lived in, I was born in Sweden, but do I look Swedish? Not really. Don't have the blonde hair, blue eyes, and didn't stay there for too long to feel any sort of discrimination because I was pretty young, and you wouldn't want racist people in the kindergarten, would you? And then I went over to England and was based in London, and didn't feel any sort of discrimination there because London's pretty diverse. You have your Asians, Middle Easterns, Eastern Europeans, Westerners all mixed together. I guess that's how the city runs, really. Without the help of the other person, you won't be able to do anything. But the only time I felt a slight bit of discrimination was when I came back from my Christmas holidays. And at JFK I was held for approximately 4 to 5 hours. Yeah, went up to the passport control, the official there, TSA official, kicked off, we were joking about a bit. It was quite early in the morning. So I thought we were just getting along, but then he just told me to step aside with him, took me to this room, and it was just full of basically foreigners, non-American looking and mostly Middle Eastern, Asian type of ethnicity. And he took me aside and sent me to this other guy, and he questioned me about where I'd come from, what I was doing over the summer holidays, who paid for my ticket. I don't know why he would ask that, but fair enough. He was doing his job, and I guess that's what they got to do. And Wagner, I haven't really felt any sort of discrimination here, but you tend to see which groups of people stick together. You see the African Americans, they tend to stick together a lot, even though it's usually to do with sports. They're all part of the sports team together, but they usually tend to stick together. Italian Americans one side. But it's not too bad at Wagner. It's New York, I guess. Pretty diverse like London as well. Being born in Sweden, raised in England, and basically come to America now, I haven't had many cultural shocks really, because I can't say I'm like first generation immigrant, but because I've just been raised in a Western Western Europe. So there weren't many cultural shocks when I came over to America. But America is quite different to England in that, as in, it's quite shielded away from the rest of the world. And I'm not generalizing, but Americans can be narrow-minded and just stereotype. So that's the main difference, really, between London and New York, or do you want to say England and America. It's just America's really shielded away from the rest of the world, so things are getting filtered through their media, and I guess that's distorting the image of many Middle Easterns or even Africans or Asians, rest of the world basically. To think that America will one day accept Islam as it is quite optimistic, especially after recent events in Boston and even the tragic events in 9/11, which are still stamped in the memories of many Americans, especially New Yorkers. And that's quite recent as well, only basically 12 years ago, coming up to 12. So it's all fresh in people's minds, and after the recent bombings in Boston, I think it will take... America was taking a step forward. It was gradually trying to take a step forward in accepting, Islam as it is, and not trying to stereotype Muslims. But I think after these recent bombings, we've taken a huge step back, and with it not being a Middle Easterner carrying out these bombings and being basically Chechnyan, a European, it's going to generalize Muslims even more. But hopefully security tightens up in America and we Muslims and I guess the West get along. But that'll be in the long-term future.
Is there an American Islam gradually being created? A version of faith that aligns with contemporary United States both organizationally and culturally?